This is the scapula. This is the back side of the scapula. And this ridge right here is called the spine of the scapula. Coming directly off the spine, this really big process is called the acromion process. Now, I said this is the back, so this up here is the front. The front is going to be pretty smooth. It doesn't have that big ridge of bone across it. But this big process that comes off the front is called the coracoid process. Above the spine, this indention up here is called the supraspinous fossa. And then below the spine, this indention down here is the infraspinous fossa. Now, if I take these two processes, the acromion process and the coracoid process, and I turn them facing towards us, then this smooth surface here is called the glenoid cavity. The glenoid cavity is where the head of the humerus is going to articulate, form that joint to form your shoulder. So the head of the humerus is this smooth part right here, and so it would form like this, like right there. Okay, so now we're going to move to the humerus, which is this bone right here. And again, this was the head of the humerus, the smooth part. If you come straight back at the highest point, that's the greater tubercle right here. Come diagonally down, this is the lesser tubercle. And in between those, it's kind of hard to see unless you're holding an actual bone, but there's a groove between those two called the intertubercular groove. So greater tubercle, lesser tubercle, intertubercular groove. Now with the humerus, this is going to be one that you're going to be able to feel it more than you can see it. But if you come down about halfway down the shaft of the bone and you feel around, you can feel a little knot. If you look right there above my thumbnail, you can see that little ridge right there. That is the deltoid tuberosity. It's where your deltoid muscle inserts to. Come down to the distal end. So this is right now fixing to form your elbow region. Okay, so this whole piece right here is two different structures fused together. If you come up here where the greater tubercle is and you follow it all the way down, then this region right here that's kind of circular, that's called the capitulum. Fused to it on this side, it starts here and it actually spirals around all the way to the back. That is called the trochlea. Now if you look above the trochlea here, I can barely fit my pinky in that little indention right there. That's called the coronoid fossa. And then if I flip it to this side, so this was trochlea still, that really big indention that I can pretty much fit my thumb in, the end of my thumb, that's called the olecranon fossa there. Okay, now between the humerus and you have your scapula, you're also going to have the clavicle, which is your collarbone. And so we always just say that this is a doubly curved or S-shaped bone. So if you turned it this way, you could see the S. It is going to attach here, and then it's going to also attach, of course, at the sternum as well. Now, moving down from the humerus, remember we said this is the elbow region right here. And so this bone right here is going to be what forms our elbow joint. This is the ulna. We always look for this structure here. Looks like a U if you turn it this way. And it's long and skinny. This bone over here is the radius. And notice it is shorter than the ulna and it's also fat. Okay, it's wider at its distal end than the ulna is. So the radius is wide, ulna is skinny. Okay. The way that it's going to connect, this curved part is called the trochlear notch. And so it is going to fit around the trochlea like this. Now, these are not actually structures you have to know, but I want to show you something. This top part right here is called the olecranon process. The bottom part, this little pointed part, is called the coronoid process. So if I told you to flex your elbow, you would pull in your arm like this, and the coronoid fossa and the coronoid process would fit together like this. If I told you to, so this is the front of the arm here. If I told you to extend your arm at your elbow, you would do this. So I'm going to flip it to the back of the elbow, and the olecranon process fits inside the olecranon fossa. Okay, now to see how the radius fits together, Now sometimes these bones don't necessarily go together, but what they would actually do, it would fit something like this. Okay, so you can see if I move this that the radius is still a little bit shorter than the ulna is. You can still see that at the distal end, so down here where the wrist would be, this is the wider part of the radius, so that lets you know this is radius. On both of these, the radius and the ulna, you have a styloid process. The styloid processes are the little points on both of them. This is styloid process of the ulna. This is styloid process of the radius. Okay? Then we have our hand. So we have phalanges. You have a distal, a middle, or intermediate phalanx, and a proximal phalanx. So distal phalanx, middle or intermediate phalanx, proximal phalanx. Then of course we have these bones here. Now if I were to put my hand over this one has long fingers, but this would be the palm of your hand. Those are called metacarpals. And of course we know the wrist bones right here are called carpals. Okay. Now the couple of things you want to do in order to help you know your bones of the wrist. First of all, find your pinky finger. The way we're going to know is because it has more bones than the thumb does. Okay, it has 3 phalanx and a metacarpal, whereas the thumb has 2 phalanx and a metacarpal. Okay, the thumb is missing the middle phalanx, so it does not have one of these right here. Okay, now once you find the pinky, you want to find the palm side of the hand, and the way that we're going to do that is to look for this bone right here, and it's got this little sharp piece on it right there. That's part of the hamate bone. You want to go from the hamate to this bone diagonal from it, and that's the pisiform. Now I'm going to turn it sideways. This was pisiform, and pisiform is fused to the triquetral or triquetrum. Okay, so if you're looking at it from this angle again, and again my palm side is up. Okay, this is pisiform, triquetrum, lunate is here, scaphoid is the kind of long one. Then you have trapezium. Trapezoid is the tiny one under your pointer or trigger finger. Capitate is under your middle finger. And then hamate is the one with the sharp thing that's under the pinky and the ring finger. So you want to find that because here's the thing. If I'm looking at both of my hands, on this hand you're going to start here, you're going to move down, and you're going to move around counterclockwise. But if you were on this hand, you're going to start here, you're going to move down, and you're going to move clockwise. So it matters which one you're on because your hands are mirror images of each other. So it's important that you find the palm side and find the pinky finger before you start trying to name the bones. Okay? That's it.